As a compassionate, dedicated, and capable leader of our great nation, George W. Bush addressed the fearful, grieving, and angry citizens of America after the tragic terrorist attacks of 9/11. He gave an understanding, encouraging, and easing speech in order to convince the American people to band together to civilly take down terrorism and restore peace between the nations and within our nation.
He starts with, "Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist attacks. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. And pictures of airplanes flying into buildings, fires burning, huge structures collapsing have filled us with disbelief, terrible sadness, and a quiet, unyielding anger. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat, but they have failed. Our country is strong. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. America was targeted for attack because we are the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep that light from shining. Today, our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the best of America. With the daring of our rescue workers and the caring for strangers and neighbors who came to give blood and help in any way they could." So the first thing that we underlined was our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom, which is an anaphora because of the repetition of our, and the emphasis goes to very and freedom, which freedom is a commonplace shared, and the our connects the pres with the people, and then the R is also just the anaphora. It's the thing that's repeated.
Next, we underlined deliberate and deadly, which is an alliteration.
Right. And then after that, we talked about, or we underlined secretaries, businessmen, and women, which are all occupations that get more and more relatable, that humanize the victims of this tragedy.
Next, we underlined evil and despicable because evil is repeated throughout the passage in another place and more in the rest of the passage, which we didn't annotate because it's not as meaty.
Then, after that, we underlined huge because of the play on emotion and the repetition there as well.
Next, we have another list of disbelief, terrible sadness, and quiet, unyielding anger, which is setting expectations for what we should feel. We especially thought his use of quiet before unyielding anger was meant to kind of quell, like, we have an unyielding anger, but it's not aggressive.
Lastly, in this paragraph, we underlined the "but they have failed, our country is strong" because of the use of short sentences after all of those lists really packs a punch when talking about our nation.
Next, in this little section, we have a couple motifs. The repetition of great people and great nation, and then the foundations of our biggest buildings and the foundation of America, and then the steel of like buildings and the steel of American resolve. It uncompares the physical world and the idea and ideal of America. It's saying that you can physically destroy our buildings, but you can't destroy our values and like the American concept.
Exactly. The things that the terrorists did aren't as big as they seem. After that, we have another break-off that emphasizes just how bad